Good morning, everyone. Come on in here. We are here for another, we're going to have to rename it today, Storytime and Drive. That's what we're doing today, you guys. So go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. Hopefully this phone doesn't fall over. We're going for a bumpy ride. It's about 6:23 in the morning, and I am on my way to work today. Alrighty, so go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and you already know, engage with me down in the comments. Share the video if you want to share the video so we can get some more folks in here, you guys. Alrighty, so someone had mentioned the last video that I had did. Someone had mentioned something. They said, wait a minute, you skipped over that you used to work at the airport. Yes, you guys, let me tell you something. I have had 1,000,001 jobs. Don't ask me why. I've had 1,000,001 jobs. So I did work at the airport, and I worked for a company that was a sister company of a big airline. So it was Delta. So it has a sister company that it had, and I worked for the smaller version of that one. You guys, so I don't know what year I worked there. My kids were maybe teenagers or what have you, and I worked like 3:30 to 10 or something like that. It was a part-time gig. Now the airport had amazing benefits. Their benefits, they had great medical, great life insurance, dental, all of those different things, and they also had free flight passes for us. But the only thing with the employees was you had to do is like a standby. So I learned to travel on certain days of the week, because if you traveled on certain days of the week, you were guaranteed almost a spot on the plane. So you never want to travel on a Friday doing standby or a Monday. Friday people are flying out, Monday business people are coming back home. So I learned to travel like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, guaranteed a flight most times. Sometimes I would end up sitting in first class if there was an opening or what have you. So I worked over there probably less than, Jesus, this road is horrible. Probably less than a year I worked there. And when I first started, I was a tug driver. So you ever seen, well, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's the little tugs, a metal contraption that has things linked to the back of it, and you put your bags on there. So when you go from one flight to the next flight, we will pull up to whatever flight number it was, put the bags that we knew were going to, say, Charlotte, and put all the Charlotte bags on there, and then we will go over to the Charlotte plane and then dump the bags off, and then the guys that were there were responsible for loading your bags onto the plane. And when I tell you, honey, I understand why your packages, your bags get messed up. I messed up a few bags in my days, you guys. Stuff will fall off that truck, and we were out there winter, spring, summer, fall. In the summertime, it was beyond hot. You can guarantee at the airport, you guys, around all those planes and those engines, that you were going to be, the temperature was probably going to be about 15 degrees hotter. I watched people pass out. I watched a woman that was a flight attendant get off of her plane, come down the steps, and fell out because of the extreme heat. So we tried to stay away from the engines, the back part of the plane, but sometimes you couldn't, because most time that's where the bags were, or in the back side of the plane. But then on the flip side, in the winter time, you wanted to stand by the back of the plane while he, has the little, engine swirling, because it was heat and it would warm you up. Now, if you want a great way to knock water off of you, if it's raining, honey, stand there, it'll blow all the rain off of you. You'll be dry as heck, honey, messing around with the back of those engines. So we were responsible, the tug people were responsible for getting packages, and then sometimes they will allow us to push the planes back. So whenever I say push the planes back, you know how you get on your flight, if you've been on a flight and the plane starts pushing back a little bit before it goes to the runway, we were the ones that were responsible for, with the little lights going like this, and you had to salute the flight person, the captain. If you did not hear me, as simple as you think this is, if you did not salute them, they could not take off. If you didn't do your light like this and salute them, and make sure you salute them with the right hand, because honey, if you saluted them with the opposite hand, you was in sure enough trouble. If you did not salute them, they could not take off, and then they would salute you back, and that was part of the procedure. Who made that up? I don't know. I just knew that was policy. You knew to salute them. So we would get the packages. Going back to, I know why your bags is tore up. I personally would say do not invest in high price luggage, not unless you are checking that luggage, taking it on the plane with you, or you're on a private thing, because we don't care nothing about your Louis Vuitton luggage and whatever luggage you got. It's been times where I was driving that tug, baby, and a suitcase fell off, and I only had 5 minutes to get to that next plane, baby. That suitcase was in the runway, and I've seen suitcases get ran over. I've seen suitcases sitting on the side of the runway, and wherever you was going, your destination, you weren't gonna have no drawers because it fell off. And sometimes there were so many packages, luggage, it couldn't even fit on the tug. So you may have pulled up with your tug with one attachment, and you really needed 2 attachments. But you didn't have time to go get 2 attachments because you got to make a mad dash over here. So sometimes, y'all, all them bags got left. Sorry. So it is what it is. So after 6 months or so, you had to go bid for another position, and everything at the airport was seniority. So I ended up going to bid, and because I was low on the totem pole, I didn't get the tugs anymore. And I was upset. Guess what I end up getting, y'all? Y'all lucky I gotta go to work, because I pulled over and looked dead at this camera. I got the waist thing. And you had to stay in your positions for 6 months at a time. It was either 6 months or 3 months at a time, because it was rotating. I got the poop patrol. So, just thinking about it. This one, you had, it was a truck. It's about the size of a tug, and it had this big blue thing on the top. It had a lid to it, and you had to go up with this squishy. You remember these slinkies with this squishy hose, and attach it to the plane, hit the switch, honey, and let the poop come out, baby. If I tell you, that was by far the funkiest job. It was using toilet paper, masks, and you had to make sure that you checked your hose at the beginning of the shift, because if you did not, there could be a possibility that it could be a leak that the shift before didn't tell you, and you could see stuff squirting out, and that was one thing you did not want. So when you will pull the poo out, you had another squishy thing that will push like this blue liquid up in there. So when I got on that little funky toilet patrol thing, you know, y'all, in the back of my mind, oh, I'm quitting. I ain't come over here to shuffle doo-doo, baby. So I end up staying anyways, but I met some cool people. And so this is where the story is, but just want to give you a little background. Now, let me say this before I start on the story about the guy I was cool with. They did not pay well. They did not. We could fly anywhere. Absolutely, you can go to Hawaii. If you went to Hawaii or like international, you just had to pay like the little taxes or something. So you could go all the way to Paris for probably like $200 or something like that. They did not pay well. They probably paid at that time $9, $10 and some change. And so you had these great flight benefits, but you couldn't afford to go anywhere, because where can you go for $10? And you work part-time if you didn't have another job. So there was guys like firefighters who would work there for like 2-3 days out the week just so they could have flight benefits, so they could go places, and them and their family could travel, which was a great thing to do. But if that was your only source of income, you couldn't really afford to do nothing, you know, besides maybe go somewhere for a day or two if you saved up and then come back. So guys, I'm on Poo Patrol now. I'm on the doo-doo team. So I met some really cool guys. Now this guy, I won't say what his name is, but this guy was a white guy. and he was one of those. He looked like a drill sergeant, a big white guy, bald-headed drill sergeant, and he had like a great tan, because you was gonna get a tan out there, and he had like these blue eyes or whatever. He was super cool. So whenever we would come, he was like, "There you go with you got you on the doo-doo patrol." I said, "Man, listen, I don't know how I get it." He was like, "Stick it out. You know, in 3 months you can rotate to something different, and then you got some seniority. So the doo-doo patrol probably won't even be offered to you, or you'll there'll be openings for the tug people, and the doo-doo patrol will be open, but you could pick what you want because you got a little seniority." So he really encouraged me to end up staying. So me and him just got cool. So whenever I would come over there, if he didn't have any bags or anything that he needed to do, no, he was a grounds person. He was a grounds person. So if he didn't have any bags or anything to do, he would undo the poo thing for me and hook the hose up, because that thing was sitting up high, but you could get up there. So he would do that. We would just sit around and just kind of talk or whatever, if he didn't have any bags to throw. So I found out he had a wife that he had just got married to. She was an Asian lady. He showed me some pictures of her. He had this beautiful little girl that had like super curly hair, blonde hair. She was so cute. So he just told me like his little stories or whatever, and I told him, where I was from, and like we was from 2 totally different worlds. But I love meeting people, you guys, that are not from my neighborhood, just to cross those barriers. People may have things that they think about people that live in certain neighborhoods, or black people, or Hispanic people, or Asian people, or white people. But if you never mingle with those people at your job or wherever you are, you won't understand the culture. You won't understand different races and different people and why they think the way that they think. And I could tell from the way that he would talk or whatever, he didn't grow up around a lot of black people. And it wasn't that he was prejudiced, that wasn't his thing. And I didn't grow up around a lot of white people. So our worlds kind of collided, and we became cool with each other. And I was comfortable asking him certain questions about white folks that you normally just can't blurt out and ask. And he was comfortable asking me questions about black people that you normally just can't ask without somebody getting offended or what have you. So we kind of meshed with one another. He was so freaking cool. Now, one thing he loved was motorcycles, man. He freaking loved motorcycles. He had a Harley Davidson. He had I want to say a Ducati or something. Yeah, a Ducati. He had multiple motorcycles that he said, I drive those because he lived like way out somewhere. It was in Ohio, but it was deeper north into Ohio. So for me, I lived, the airport is in Kentucky, but I just live across the bridge from Kentucky. He lived more out. Like now I'm going to Mason toward Kings Island. He lived out this way. So he will often drive his motorcycle because it saved him on gas. So this particular day, you guys, he drove his motorcycle to work, and we're sitting there chopping it up and we're laughing or what have you. Now, mind you, one thing about the airport, we're always going to stay on top of the weather. Always. Snow, rain, storms, whatever, because you got to dictate if these planes can take off or not. So this particular day, a storm was coming. And I'm like, okay, so what are you going to do? You drove your bike in. He's like, I'm just going to drive home. I'll just drive slow. I said, man, I don't know about that. Now, mind you, I didn't have a car at this time. I was catching a bus to the airport. But they had, shuttles that would come take us to the bus stop and all that different stuff. And he was cool with a lot of people. So the end of the shift had came, and we were all in the break room ready to clock out or whatever. And a couple of guys came up to us and said, hey, man, let me take you home, because it's raining, and it was coming down bad, you guys. And so he was like, nah, I'll be okay, I don't want to be a burden. You know how we do all that different stuff instead of just taking acts of kindness, because we're so freaking independent. And so they was, man, it's raining, just leave your bike here, and I could go ahead, drop you off, and have your wife drop you off tomorrow, so you can get your bike from the parking lot tomorrow and then drive your bike home tomorrow night. He didn't want to do it. So they, all right, man, just be careful, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He goes home. He's driving home, you guys. He's driving. He's making it pretty good. This is from the story that I was told. He's driving pretty good going home. Some lady, as he's driving, now I don't know, I know how the roads are when it's wet when you're in a car, but I don't know how to maneuver when it's wet and you're on a motorcycle. Okay, so he's driving and he's on this road trying to get off the highway. I don't know if he was on this street or this road because he was, maybe need to get off the highway and take the street way the rest of the way home. And this lady was coming out of Wendy's parking lot. And when it rains really, really bad, the visibility is not that good. So she edged out too far. And so he calls himself trying to swerve around her a little bit so he doesn't clip the front part where her headlights are. He does that, loses control, and freaking crashes. He crashed. And he died. He died trying to get home from the airport. So the next day that I end up coming to work, I'm like, where's, I got, on pool patrol again. And so I go up to wherever normally his little area. You had certain sections that you were in when you did your bidding. So you were like, maybe you're 3 months, you're at gate 7, 8, 9. So you work 7, 8, 9 planes as they come in. And I'm like, where's dude at? He never misses work. They was like, you didn't hear? I was like, hear what? He crashed last night. You guys, they said that the wreckage was so bad that they came and basically used a shovel to put him in a body bag. I just burst out crying. I just bust out crying. He had just got married. He had a little girl. She was probably like cute little girl, about 2, 3. She wasn't a baby. She was like 2, 3 years old. And I thought back and said, they asked you if you wanted a ride, and he didn't want to take a ride. He died on the way home. Never made it. That's one of the stories from the airport where I worked. That was sad. That was sad. They asked anybody if they needed counseling or if they felt like they couldn't work the shift or anything like that, that they could, basically go home or what have you. So you guys, I don't know who out there has like a motorcycle. I remember my ex-husband had a motorcycle. He was my ex-husband at the time. But I just used to always be worried when he would drive that motorcycle, even though he had helmets and he had like a vest. I guess there's some type of vest that if you fall, it has metal or something in it, and you do your hands like this and you just kind of slide to keep from getting road burn or what have you. So yeah, you guys, lost one of the people at Calm Air to a motorcycle accident. Whew. You guys, I'm pulling up to McDonald's. You guys go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the video, give the videos a thumbs up, and I will see you later this week with another, I don't know if it's going to be story or it's going to be the Who Say What show, honey. We need to talk about Keke Palmer in that situation. So it may be the You Say What show, you guys. All right, have a great day. See ya.